TMM. All right, let's flip the board. TMM is black. Here we go. I'm actually going to turn these off for right now. Okay. Oh, queen h5. Wow. All right. Great move. Always attack that queen when it comes out like that. Okay, that's fine. Personally, I would have taken it with the knight because I'm attacking the queen again. And I'm not messing up my pawn structure. So now you have doubled pawns. So just a small thing to keep in mind, but that's what I would have done. Ooh, bad choice. Okay, this is okay. As long as you saw that you were giving up this pawn and you had the idea to play bishop c6 next, that's not a terrible idea. Probably a little bit better just to bring this knight out, because this is like the ideal square for the knight, and you just have a chance to put it there right away. You don't even give white anything. They don't even get a pawn. This is okay because you do get some tempos. This bishop is maybe not the best diagonal for... this diagonal is maybe not the best for this bishop because the pawn, but it's okay. But I think I would have played knight c6. All right, you did see bishop c6, so that's good. Okay, great move. You're developing, getting your bishop out. Bishop d5. Yeah, that's fine. You can also have just defended maybe with like queen d7, but this is okay. I mean, you're ahead. Development, so I guess that's fine. Yep, good. Yeah, good. Ooh. Castle's good. Yeah, I was thinking rook b8, but then it looks like you lose the rook to this check. So that was a good move, castling. Yeah, it's good. You're doing great. Like, when they bring the queen out, this is exactly what you want to do. Just use your pieces to harass it. I really like this. Okay, so here... It's a good idea. You're going for the bishop, but tactically I don't think it quite works. And it's for two reasons. Number one, well, the primary reason is that it's pinned, so you can't actually take or you lose your rook. But also you have to keep in mind that, like, just generally speaking, if you play a move like this and your opponent has a pawn that's going to capture two pieces and you're only going to get one, it's not going to end well for you. Now in this case, it's kind of weird because you got the attack on the queen, but at the end of the day, the pin is why it doesn't work. So, yeah, I mean, I think you just retreat the bishop is probably what I would play here. Just go back, because this is already defended fine. So you don't actually need the bishop there. So you just want to get away from the pawn. Yeah. But even this position is not terrible for you because white's pieces are all like back here. So you're still doing fine. Like, even being down a piece, this is fine. Okay, it's a tricky move. I guess it works. I was probably gonna just take this, but okay, I mean, I like what you're doing. Counter-attacking, now you take it back, fine. Okay. I think I would have maybe played rook here. This is a weird position, by the way. Like, this is a very weird position. The pawns are like blocking up all the pieces, so it's kind of funky. But rook d3 I like here because you're not giving white the chance to ever really get this bishop out. When you can blockade a center pawn like this, it's really bad for white because the bishop is stuck, and if the bishop's stuck, the rook is stuck. And so I just like putting my rook there. That being said, I don't know that d3 is that good of a move for white anyway, but okay. Yeah, see here, at least the bishop is now getting into the game. If your rook was there, that wouldn't even be a legal move for white, right? But still, this looks like pretty good for you. It's like white's king is going to be in trouble. Queen f3. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a tricky one to see because you're focused on like all the stuff happening here and you just didn't see the queen. How long was this game? Yeah, this game's long enough. You have time to do a blunder check. So what I recommend is you know, after every move, just very quickly, like, glance at your king and your queen and your major pieces. Like, is it attacking any of those? Like, is this a threat? No, I'm not worried because my king, okay. Is the, oh, yeah, my queen, right? So yeah, just work on your blunder checks, and that would have saved you. And I'm guessing that it didn't end well after here, although you do have some, wow. You have some counterplay with the, oh, you got the draw. Okay, well, hey, that was a good way to save the game, considering the queen blunder. So, not a bad outcome. And you are white. Okay, cool. Okay, so we got the, what, Italian game? Yeah, I think this is okay. D4. So not a bad move. Like, I mean, this is definitely what you want to do. Like, strike at the center, get ready to develop. But whenever your opponent's king is on the E file and your castle and you have a rook ready to go, you want to be looking at this kind of stuff. And so it looks like knight takes E5 is a really good idea because you've got this. And then probably D4 now. And you're threatening a fork, so black can't just castle. I guess they gotta like move, I don't know, something like this, and then you take, and now the knight's gotta move, and you might be able to consider E6 or even just taking here, and I think black's like already losing. And I mean, really, it was a simple idea. It was just like, hey, the king's in the center, I'm gonna bring my rook over, or first take, because if you go here, I guess E4, you can still play D3, and I think you're still doing pretty well, putting a lot of pressure, and black has to be super careful because of where the king is. Because if you ever get a rook lined up on the king, like, it's bad news. So I think, yeah, just pay attention to this kind of stuff. These tactics are like very common, and a lot of times you will have to sacrifice a piece temporarily. But if you can get a pin with your rook and you have pawns to follow it up, you're always going to be able to get your piece back. You're not actually in danger of losing your piece, you know, as long as you can get the pin. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, you know, D4 is not bad. Okay, knight G5. Knight G5, I feel like I would have played here only because knight G5, you have to ask yourself what's going to happen if they just chase it away, right? This is a very common idea, and you got to have a good plan, unless you were planning on sacking here, but I don't think you have a follow-up. This is already defended, and so you're probably going to have to go back to H3, which means your king is going to be in trouble, right? So try to just look ahead a little bit more, especially with knights. When you advance your knights forward, you kind of have to have a good plan for what's going to happen to them, because knights are one of the easiest pieces that can get trapped if you're not careful. So I'm guessing, oh, they didn't play H6. Okay, that's good for you. Now rook E1. Yeah, see, now it's not as good of a move because this is already sort of solidified for black, right? It's going to take you a little while to break this down, and black has time to play bishop E7 and castle pretty easily, whereas earlier they didn't have time for that, so that's why. Okay, bishop B4, F3. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Castles, right? So you take this. And you do have to watch out for this pawn, but you could probably play D5 first. Okay, so I was thinking D5 because I don't want to let black just take this. Stockfish is telling me I'm crazy. I don't know why. Bishop G4. Wow. So this is, yeah, I mean, this is a crazy position, apparently. There's a lot happening, and D5 is not good. But generally speaking, I would just like to throw in this move and then take this, because now my pawn's going to be defended. I'm not losing a pawn. Whereas if you take, I think you're just losing the pawn. Oh, they didn't take it. What happens if this? This is what I was thinking. Yeah, this is kind of what I guess it's not terrible for you because you get the pawn structure. Okay. So, I mean, both of those moves are fine. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, that's pretty good. Hmm. Yeah, I guess you kind of have to do that. Normally I don't like to trade into my opponent when there's an open file like this, because you're always going to be losing control of the file, right? Like now, black has complete control. But in this case, it's kind of a weird situation where you don't really have too many other options because it's attacked and you can't move it away. And I mean, you could go back, but yeah, in this case, I think it's fine. I will say you have to make sure that you calculate that you have a good way to prevent the rook from infiltrating and regain control of the file at some point. In this case, you do. Like, you can just play king f2 very easily, and then, you know, move your bishop, bring your rook over, and you should be fine. So in this case, I think it's fine. Bishop a3. Okay. Fine. You just have to make sure you calculate what happens if the rook invades. I guess you can just simply play king over. Yeah, this is what I would be concerned about. Is that what your opponent played? No, they didn't. So this is what I'm concerned with. They're going to play here. And even if you play king f1, they might play like here. And you can't go here because you're losing your pawn. And now you're kind of in a jam, I think, with your king. You have to be really careful, because if this knight can loop around somehow, which it can't easily in this position. So maybe it's fine, but you have to be careful, like even bishop here. I don't like allowing this when I'm playing, because it's very, very difficult to play this way. Stockfish is saying it's fine. Oh, because you have the back rank mate. All right, so in this case, it's fine. You can go here, threaten mate. They have to like do something, and then I guess you can play like rook. Oh, bishop c1, and you trap the rook. Wow, okay. Yeah, I wasn't even seeing any of that. All right, so there's that tactic available. But generally speaking, most of the time, you got to watch out for this rook infiltrating on the second rank. But in this case, you had some nice tactics. So I don't know if you saw that or not, but it worked out for you. Okay, so knight a5, rook f1. Okay. So pushing past pawns is usually a good thing. You just have to be a little bit careful that it doesn't become a target, because like right here, this guy is super solid. This pawn is not going anywhere. And so if you're able to like trade off all the pieces, it's just, this is going to be, you know, probably an easy winning king and pawn endgame. If you push it too fast, you do have to be careful. Now, I think you're fine, but this is my concern with these moves so rapidly. Now we're in an opposite colored bishop. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you played pretty well. Biggest takeaway from that game was the e-file early on. Don't be afraid to sacrifice a piece if you can get your opponent's king. That would be the big takeaway. And he is white. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, Queen's Gambit. I'm not super familiar. I think this is fine though. Okay, I don't really like this because you're gonna let your king get opened up, and I don't know if your idea was that you would take here and then the bishop would still be hanging, but like after this is, I mean, black just winning a pawn that way, and then the other way is if you take here, now your king is, unless your plan was like to use this to attack, but it still looks pretty risky with the queen right here. I mean, I don't think I would do that. So I don't really like d5. Probably just moving the knight back is the easiest thing. Like knight d2 maybe. I mean, you could trade here, but then you end up with this isolated pawn. So I think I would just play knight d2 if I'm playing this game. Let's see if that happened. Yeah, so now you have to be careful here. Yeah, I guess you're already losing a pawn, right? I don't think you can save everything. Yeah, so just going back, knight d2 probably would have been a good choice. Okay, queen e4. Yeah, so you have the battery. It's not going to be doing much now. Rooks to the open file. Okay, everything gets traded. All right. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't such a terrible endgame. Bishops are usually pretty good in endgames where there's pawns on both sides of the board. So you do have that going for you. The bad news, I guess, though, is, I mean, your pawns are pretty bad. And blacks are just, like, super nice. So, probably a tough endgame. Yeah, okay. So we go here. I don't like this. I don't like this. Now your bishop is stuck. What is your bishop going to do now? I mean, even if you play a4, there's going to be c6. I don't like that move. I think you got to keep your bishop like centralized and use the fact that your bishop can go to like both sides of the board. So you want to be putting that thing right there, and then try to be as annoying as you can. Get your king like right here somewhere, and just kind of see what's black's gonna do. But yeah, putting it over here is not a good choice. Yeah, I think black could have played c6 and that would have been maybe a little better, but okay. Even trading is pretty good, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't take this, because generally speaking, if you have a passed pawn like this in an endgame like this, it's usually a pretty easy win. Let's see. Maybe this is an exception because white is almost getting there. Yeah, maybe this is different because your king is very active, so I guess it's a little bit different. Normally, you can just push the passed pawn with your king to support it, and then eventually you abandon it and go like take all the other pawns. In this case, it's a little tricky because white's king does have the option to come after this, and then white has the passed pawn. So maybe that's why black didn't do that, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this endgame is actually not so bad for you. Bishop's going to be really good. You can go hunt these pawns, or you can also keep an eye on things on the other side of the board. Yeah, so I think you're doing okay here. Nice. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to trade because were you low into? No, you had time. Yeah, you don't want to trade because black has the extra pawn, and over here they're gonna have an extra pawn. So I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that was a good decision. I think I would have just, let's see what I play here. I don't know, just move your bishop and just kind of keep moving it around. It's going to be very difficult for black to win this as long as your bishop's on the board. As soon as you trade that off, most players are going to be able to figure out a way to win with the extra passed pawn. They're going to like push these and make one over here that you can't deal with, or they're going to, you know, figure out something. So I don't think I would have traded there. Yeah, and see, this is your problem, right? You just can't deal with it. You're too slow. Yeah. So in those endgames, even if you're down a pawn or two, remember the rule. Try to trade pawns and keep the pieces, because the more pawns you trade, it gets harder and harder for your opponent to win. And as long as you keep your bishop, it was going to be very difficult. So just keep that in mind. All right, Neon Joe. Let me actually do this. I want the feedback. Okay. Oh, okay, Vienna Gambit. I mean, this looks really good. I don't think black's supposed to do this. This is pretty common in like other openings too. If you can ever take one of your pawns and they have to recapture with the knight, a lot of times you can just get like huge tempo gain harassing the knights with your pawns. Yeah. So this should be really good for you. This is, you know what this is actually like? This is like the Halloween Gambit, except you don't have to sacrifice your knight. You trade a pawn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Halloween Gambit is like this, and then you sack your knight just so that you can play d4, get a huge center, and like harass the knights. So that's kind of what you got, but you didn't have to give up your knight, which is even better. Probably e5. Yeah. Great. You're like winning. Knight f3. Yep. Bishop d3, not bad, but I want to go for this pawn. I want to go for this pawn. Because, I mean, usually the downside of this is if black's able to castle, then the rook's defending it, you don't really have much. They're not going to be castling that soon. Because the knight, I'm going to go to c4 with my bishop for sure. And I also have the f-file. So I'm going to... Let me see if Stockfish agrees with me. Oh, Stockfish says d5. Yeah, that's good too. Just kicking the knight back. But yeah, I'm going to play here. And I'm going to castle. And I'm going to sack that bishop probably. Like, for example, if the knight comes here, I'm going to be thinking about taking that. And just castling and going for the king. Let's see how bad it is. Stockfish isn't showing it, but yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this every time. Castle. Maybe it's too ambitious. d5. Yeah, you could probably play it. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I would prefer the bishop on this diagonal in this position. This is good if they're like already castled or you're expecting them to castle like right away. But all right, let's keep going. 6. Queen e2. Yeah, that's pretty good. I wonder if you can just take it and castle. And take advantage of that. I mean, Queen e2 is definitely not bad, though. It's pretty good, yeah. 56, okay. Yeah, this is a very tricky position. Like, I want to be thinking about this because the bishop can't take, so the king has to come up. Then you castle. Knight f6. Knight takes c6. Okay. Castle. Yeah, I mean, this is a very tricky position. I think you're playing it fine. Basically, if this is me, how long is this game? Yeah. I would spend quite a bit of time at this position because there's a lot of options here. I mean, this is not an easy position. Like, I'm gonna check knight f7. I'm gonna think about just castling. I might even think about like bishop a3. So many moves. Yeah, and even like bishop b5 is an idea because the knight's gonna have some problems. So I would definitely. How long did you spend on that position? Yeah, I would spend longer than 11 seconds if I were you. Little time management tip. These, a lot of times, are critical positions. Now, it's easy for me. I'm looking at Stockfish. I can see like exactly what the best move was. But in the game, you don't know. Like, you don't know when you're going to have a winning tactic pop up. And so, my advice, just take longer and just analyze some stuff. You know, check out a couple different things. There's no way that you consider too many moves in 11 seconds, right? So I would say just think a little bit more next time. I mean, this is obviously not a bad move at all. It's fine. I'm just saying maybe you had some sort of winning sacrifice, you know. All right, bishop g5. This is good. I also like bishop a3. Let's see what Stockfish likes better, because this is really good because you get the pressure on the knight. This is really good because you keep the king in the center. Can't castle through check, right? So they're good for different reasons. Stockfish says they're basically equal. It likes bishop a3 a little bit more because then you can like bring this rook over. And the thing about not castling is not only is the king in the center, but the rooks are awkward. Like, what's this rook gonna do if black can't castle? See, normally you castle And then you can like bring it to the center and, you know, you start doing something with your rook. You can even bring it over here. But when it's stuck over here, it's like it has nothing to do. And so that's another reason why keeping the king in the center is really good. But all right, bishop d5, definitely also a good move. Yeah, and so see, even though you're getting some nice stuff here, black is going to get the rook involved. And if they're able to like hide in the corner, they might actually be okay. Well, let's see what happened. You took here. Looks pretty. Yeah, this does look very good though. I mean, queen f2. So, all right, let's focus here for a minute. Okay, and again, I noticed you spent, what is that, 9 seconds on this move. This is like another critical position, right? When you get your opponent's king open like this, and you have pieces that are like poised for an attack in different ways, you got to figure out the best way to take advantage of that. And, you know, chess is like, you can have a winning position and then throw it in 1 or 2 moves very quickly. So this is a moment I'm going to spend like a good 2-3 minutes figuring out how do I make, like, what's the best way to approach this? You know, like queen h5 looks like it could be really good. Maybe a rook lift could be really good. I mean, maybe this move, but I want to think about it more than a few seconds, you know, maybe even bringing this rook over. I don't know. I'm going to think through it even here as an idea, right? Setting up that looks like f5 maybe, but that's the stuff that I want to think through. And by the way, queen h5, Stockfish is saying, is completely winning. You're threatening checkmate. I guess black has to play f5, and then you can just take it with the rook. And the point is the rook, the point is that the bishop is more valuable than the rook, because if black takes it, guess what? There's no stopping that. It's mate in 8. Even if I didn't know it was mate in 8, I can see that this is really, really good for white, right? So I would say, yeah, just try to slow down a little bit in these key moments, because this is like very, very crucial position. And just to give you an idea, you went from +7 to +3. So you just lost 4 points of advantage in one inaccurate move. And if you play another inaccurate move, you might be back to an equal position, like just like that, right? So just keep that in mind. I mean, not that this is bad, like you're making a threat, but queen h5 was just like even stronger. Hope that made sense. I'm just checking the chat. All right, I guess I'm mostly caught up. Let's keep going. Rook b8. All right, so you took the pawn. Oof. Yeah, I mean, okay, here's the thing about this, Joe. If you think about what is so good about this position for white right now, like what's the one thing that is really good for white? It's black's king. Like, look at this, right? And what's the number one way that you make someone pay for having an exposed king? It's to checkmate them, and that's much easier to do with your queen, right? If queens are off the board, it's hard to checkmate someone. Like, yeah, it's possible, and with the 2 rooks and a bishop, maybe you can do it, but the chances go way down. Okay, right now, you still have queen h4 or queen g3 or, I don't know, you know, something to create an attack. But as soon as you play this move, yeah, you got a pawn, but now black's gonna trade. I'm like sure that they traded. Yeah, they're gonna trade, and you've got an endgame now where it's 5 and you have 6, which, okay, cool, you have an extra pawn, but this is not an easy endgame to win. And I mean, you had a really nice position. Now it's relatively equal. So those are the things you want to keep in mind. I know it's tempting, like, especially if you don't see anything right away, you're tempted to just be like, well, it's a free pawn, let me take it. But you know, if it's me, I'm gonna play a move like queen h4. I guess, let's see, I guess black has to play f5, and I'm not gonna trade. I'm gonna keep the queen on the board. Maybe I'll go check, maybe I'll just like sit it here and plan on bringing my rook up, and this is how I'm gonna like keep my advantage, right? So, because look at our king, we're not worried about black's queen. We're fine. If we need to, we can go over here, no problems. Black's the one that has to figure out how do they save the game and not get mated in the next like 5 moves, right? So, all right, I think I've made the point. So now we have an endgame, and what is this move? Does that actually, wow, I guess, I guess you can just take this and then take that rook and you win a pawn. I guess you win a pawn this way too. Oh, you went back. Yeah, you could have won a pawn two different ways. So if you take here with check and then you just take it, or I guess you could take it and then you take this pawn. So just work on those tactics a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, see here you spent, what is this? Few seconds, a little over 10 seconds. This is a moment where, like, if my opponent plays a move like this, I'm gonna be like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? So yeah, just try to slow down a little bit. I feel like you're playing pretty good, and I think if you just analyze a little more, you can play even better. You wanted to rush into the end game. Yeah. Now Joe, I will tell you, like, sometimes like strong players, like international grandmasters, they will intentionally go into an endgame, but it's only when they are like 100% sure that they know how to win the endgame and it's like an obvious win. You know, this position, this is not like a clear win for white. Like, yes, you have an extra pawn. Yeah, you're probably slightly better, but this is a weird position. Black has an open file that they can do stuff with. I mean, it's not an easy win. So it's not the same situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so I like the idea here, trapping the bishop. I like that. I guess it can get away. Yeah, I wonder if you could have just like done this idea and left the bishop kind of stuck there, because right now it's sort of trapped. Yeah, I think maybe that would have been a good plan. Oh yeah, Stockfish is telling me rook f5 is the easy way. Just go like this and go get it. When you play c3, you know, you allow it to escape. So, yeah, I guess this is kind of another example of like you have a really nice thing going for you in the position, and then you kind of like give it away, right? Like you have this bishop is trapped, and so don't play a move that lets it out. Like, keep that going for you. Do some other stuff. So, what's up, Peter? Welcome to Stalematers. All right, so now we just have like a pretty even position. This just looks like a very even endgame now. Okay, so black blunders the piece. It's still not that easy to win, but yeah, you should be able to win this now. Okay, so you got the win, but I think you could have had it much easier. Going back to like that, there's that one position right here. Yeah, this is really bad news for black. If you play queen h5, it's all over. And keep in mind, like when you get into positions like this, don't be afraid at all to give up a rook. Like, you have another one over here, and all you need to do is clear the way for the checkmate, right? I mean, black's gonna have a very difficult time defending that, so don't be afraid to sacrifice in exchange. And the other thing to think about, even if you didn't have mate in a couple moves, you're giving up a rook for 4 points. You're giving up 5 for 4 points. It's like, that's not that bad of a trade. It's like sacrificing a pawn, right? If you count up the points. So anyway, nice game. No, I won't laugh. We all make blunders. I won't laugh. Okay. So, c6. Okay. f6. Fine. e6. This is a passive move. You can play that. Personally, I like to kind of be a little bit more aggressive, and I like, you know, taking here. You do have to know a little bit of some lines and some theory. So if you're not familiar with that, d6 is okay. But there's like a cool line where you take, they push, and I think you can play d5, and you allow this. It looks a little bit scary, but it's actually really good for black. And if they like take here, you just take back, and basically you have these like amazing pawns just completely controlling the center, and this is just so much better for black. You can actually castle, and your king's pretty safe behind the bishop. Get your rook over. If white doesn't castle, this is ready to go, and it comes down to these pawns. This is just awesome for black. So I would say try to learn some of these lines if you haven't. This is really a really good one to know, because a lot of people think that they can just push on you, and it's pretty common when this bishop's on c4 you want to look for a moment to play d5, because you can do it with tempo on the bishop. You're also freeing up your bishop, and you're kind of blocking off this diagonal, which is where a lot of white's counterplay comes from. So keep that in mind. But I mean, d6 is a solid move. It's just after like knight g5, I don't know what exactly you're going to be doing. So d5, bishop g4. Okay, so I guess, let me see. You played that really quickly. So I think you probably already know. If you don't know, these pieces are 3 points and pawns are 1 point. So whenever you have a situation like this, you don't want to be trading a pawn for a knight. You're losing 2 points every time you do that. Now, if you knew that, then I guess you just didn't see this, and you want to pay attention, and I would say move a little bit slower. You're playing a 30-minute game, and you moved in 3 seconds. So that's really fast for a 30-minute game. I mean, you have plenty of time to do a blunder check and to say, okay, what's going on? Especially with your opponent's like last move, right? What's going on? What are they threatening? Oh yeah, my knight's saying I should probably do something about that. You know, just take your time and slow down a little bit, I would say. So we lost a knight, which is not good. Usually just giving up your bishop right away for the knight is not what you want to do, because it develops the queen for them. You no longer have a pin, which is kind of nice, right? Right now you have a pin, so that knight can't move anyway. Even if white wanted to do something with that knight, you're gonna take the queen. So when you take, you don't have a pin, and you give up a bishop for a knight, which is usually not the greatest trade. So I don't really like that move. d5 now. Okay, so I mean, yeah, this is, even though you're losing a pawn at this point, it's a nice move to get your bishop out. So I do like the idea. I think if it's me, I'm gonna just take this pawn back first, because it's just sitting here and I don't want it to take me and come over here. So take this, play d5 is what you really need to do. But okay, d5 first. Now you take this. Yeah, see, you just have your ordering wrong there. You want to take this first, then you can use this pawn to support d5, and you actually have a nice little center there. The way that you did it, now it's white's pawn that's supporting their pawn, right? So, all right, let's keep going. Bishop b4. So yeah, this is I'm glad we're looking at this game, because this is something that a lot of players think is good, right? It's like, hey, if I can get a check, why not? Let's get a check, right? The thing is, checks in and of themselves don't really do much for you. And in this case, white can play c3, and you're gonna lose a tempo, right? Because now you have to move your bishop because the pawn's attacking it. You kind of wasted this move, right? So generally speaking, the only time you want to throw in a check like this is if your opponent can't easily block it with like a pawn or something, right? So I don't like that move. I think you should have played maybe bishop c5 is good on this diagonal, or bishop d6 is okay, but not bishop b4. And they didn't play c3, they played knight d2, but okay, castle, that's good. Castling is good. Get your king out of the center. I can't see you, but you're nodding a lot. Okay. Good. All right, so now c3. See, now we have to waste a move. Okay, so I like what you're doing. Like you're saying, I'm not gonna deal with that. I'm gonna create my own counterattack. I actually like that a lot. And the fact that white hasn't castled, this is a good move, because you're trying to take advantage of that. You have your rook ready to go, and so I like that. Yeah, this is okay. And I hope you played. Yeah, nice, awesome. So that's more of an advanced thing. So even though you missed some of those obvious blunders, you're thinking ahead about, like, don't always have to respond to my opponent's threats. I can create some counter attacking things, and that's exactly what you did. You ended up winning the queen. So very, very nice little comeback there, right? This guy is going crazy with the sacrifices. Awesome. So yeah, you took a completely lost position and now you turned it around. So nice job with that. And then you saved your bishop. Cool. You probably could have went here to try to trade this because it's pinned. And since you're ahead now with the queen, trading is good. The more you trade, the closer you get to the end game. But bishop d6 is totally fine too. It's castles. Queen takes c6. All right, fine. Okay. Ooh, yeah. So I don't know what you were thinking. I mean, maybe you're thinking like this and you can take here with check. That's what you're thinking. It makes sense. The problem is you're putting yourself into a pin, and also white can just take here. So, you know, thinking about the last game when I was showing that sacrifice, it was a rook for a bishop and a pawn, but it opened up the diagonal to where we had a really nice follow-up checkmate threat. In this position, you got to ask yourself, what's going to be my follow-up threat to this? Like how am I going to proceed after this happens, right? Now, of course, white has an even better move, which pins your queen, but I'm just assuming that, you know, let's just say that wasn't even there. You still have to ask yourself, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I giving up a bishop for a pawn? What's the reason? And you have to have a specific reason before you do that. So, oh, you were thinking that you could take here. Yeah, so just got to work on your tactics and you'll get better at that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes when there's a lot going on, it's easy to overlook some of that stuff. But, oh, your opponent didn't do it this way. Okay, they didn't go for the pin. All right. All right, so let me talk about something that I'm noticing here. You're playing a lot of moves with your queen, and you're forgetting that you have this rook over here. Like, this rook is a powerful piece too. Like, yeah, you're up the queen, that's good, but you got to use your other pieces. This rook's doing like absolutely nothing sitting over here in the corner. I mean, defending the pawn, but that's like irrelevant. This is not what you want to be worried about. You want to get this rook into the game. So instead of all these queen moves, I want to see you get this rook involved. Bring it over here. Let's get it into the action, because if you get the rook involved somehow, now you can start threatening checkmate. I wouldn't actually go there because of the bishop, but you know, you understand the idea. Get this rook involved and it's going to be much better for you. So, all right. Queen h3. Okay. e5. All right. So finally, the rook is coming into the game. So I like that. And you're playing very quickly in such a long game. I would say slow down a little bit, because I mean, this is a good idea. This is a good idea, but yeah. All right, let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're crushing them now. All right. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know. This is like the second time in this game where you missed a pawn capture. So it's interesting because, you know, different people struggle with like different types of blunders. Some people, it's the knights. They just like can't deal with the knights, and I'm noticing that you're kind of falling for these pawn captures. So maybe, you know, your next game, like before you move, especially if you're playing a 30-minute game, before you move, just double check the pawns. Like, just let me just make sure that there's no pawns that are like gonna take any of my pieces, because it seems like that would help you a little bit. All right, so now we have a relatively equal position. I mean, the bishop and rook and all these pawns, it's kind of difficult for the queen, but yeah, I mean, maybe you can pick off some of their pieces. Okay. So, all right, so you got one pawn, that's good. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it happens. I think just slow down a little bit too. Do your blunder check, and you'll probably see some of that. I mean, overall, you didn't play bad, but just quite a few blunders. So if you eliminate some of those blunders, you're gonna do much better. Right, King's Gambit. I like it. I like it. Bishop c4. And c3. I like it. d4. Yep, great. Yeah, I mean, opening looks great so far. Yep, knight d5 looks like a fine move. Sometimes you want to consider e5 when they play like a knight f6 like this, because a lot of times what happens is, I don't know if this is an example, but a lot of times the knight doesn't have a good place to go to, like can't go here or here. If it goes here, sometimes you can even just sacrifice this pawn and like open everything up. So that's what I would consider. It looks like Stockfish is saying it doesn't quite work, and knight d5 is just the better move. So That's fine. Good job finding that. Yeah, because this also, you know, kind of accomplishes the same thing, and it's actually, now that I'm looking at it, a better way to do it. So nice. Yeah, looks really good. Got the queen. Yep, nice. Picking off the knight. Okay. Bishop d2. What's the idea here? I'm not sure what the point of that move was. I mean, if I'm you, I'm gonna just keep taking stuff. Like, I'm not worried about this. Like, that's just trade, and I'm happy with the trades. So I think I would have just taken that. But okay, now you take it. All right. Yeah. See, I don't like letting the rook come in, but oh, okay. All right. So it's not a bad idea. I mean, you're gonna get to the king for sure if you do this. The problem that I'm noticing is that you're running out of pieces, right? Like, you've got the queen, you've got the rook. The rook is very misplaced, and I don't know what just your queen is going to be able to do, except maybe throw in some checks. But I'm assuming you're trying to win this game, and so that's the thing about sacrificing. You want to make sure you have enough pieces to follow up the attack, because if you run out, I mean, it might not be easy for you, right? So okay, and so we're gonna get another queen versus rook and bishop. Okay, but yeah, they're undefended right now, and so this should be great for you. So I think it's fine. I think black could have made your life a little bit more difficult here if they had not traded, because they basically took like an active rook and traded it for a non-active rook over here, which was good for you, right? Like, if they would have done something, I don't know what else they could have done. Maybe like this would be pretty annoying. Like, yeah, you can take the bishop, but now you have to be really careful with the rooks on the second rank. I don't know. I'm not sure that I really like this sacrifice. I think yeah, I mean, it's a tough position. It's not easy, because if you do something like this or this, then the rook's coming down, and you have to be careful. All right, let's keep going. I don't know. It's not an easy position. Okay, check. Did you get a draw? No. Okay, good. Good. I like that you're pushing the pawn. Yep, that works. Cool. Yeah, pretty good game. Like, overall, really nice game. I especially like the opening. Like, you played that really great. You just did everything you're supposed to in the King's Gambit. Developed quickly. Put your pieces on good squares. You got the center, which is kind of like one of the points of the King's Gambit, right? Just get black to give up control, and then you just put your pawns there. I really liked that. And then you played the best move here, knight d5. Yeah, nice game. Nice game. What do we got here? Oh, I don't want that on. Hold on. Take off the feedback. Okay. Oh, is he playing the King's Indian? All right, cool. Okay, so he goes for the knight a6 line. Not bad. e5. Oh, so this is kind of the general plan that I teach in the course. I will say, against the Phi and Keto lines, I do teach a little bit different line. d6, knight c6, and then bishop f5, and I like that one. But, you know, it is a lot to remember, and so if you kind of go with the sort of standard plan, it usually works out pretty well. One thing about e5, normally there's the pawn on e4. Like, a lot of times white plays e4, and so when the pawn's on e4 and you play e5 and you get this trade, which that's not what happened in the game, but when you get this trade, takes, usually you can do a sacrifice where you move your knight here, you take that pawn, and the point is that after they take you back, you're taking their knight and you're actually winning back your pawn. But in this case, there's no pawn, so you're not winning back your pawn, so you're actually going to lose a pawn, which is not really what you want. So in this particular case, the fianchetto variation is a little different because a lot of times white doesn't play e4, so it kind of changes things. So if you try to do the exact same thing, it doesn't work quite as well. So in this case, you probably need to play rook e8 first and then play e5, or you can play c5 if you want, because you have that supported, and go into something like this, and then you try to make take advantage of the fact that your bishop is active along this diagonal. So that's just something to think about. This is definitely the plan in probably 8 out of 10 games. This will work, but in the fianchetto variation, it's a little different. But white didn't take it, so okay. Knight g4, that's a good move. It's a good move. You're going for the bishop, and it opens up your bishop. That's a very good move. Bishop. Yeah, I like this too. I think that's a fine move. Just get out of there. f6 is a tempting move to play, but the problem is you block your bishop and you weaken this diagonal permanently. So I really like that you didn't do that. I think queen e8 is a nice move. Okay. Yeah, this is actually a good counterattack. This is a good, because if white takes it, that's a good trade. Okay. Knight h5. I'm not a fan of that move. I think this is a good moment to just go ahead and take and open up this diagonal. And also, you get the benefit that once this pawn is gone, your knight can go to c5, which is going to put some more pressure on the center, right? So I think I would take here and then try to think about bringing my knight there. That's what I would do. Knight h5. Yeah, it's not a bad move, but in this case, I think just taking made more sense. Okay, so see, now we're going to go into a locked position, which is just a different type of game. Knight c5 now. Yeah, see, so this is a little different because your knight's not here, so you're not actually threatening that, which would have been nice, right? That's why if you kind of did this earlier, you could have actually made the threat. But okay, let's see what happens. b3. Okay, it's good that you got a5 in, because b4 was going to... Yeah, your knight was going to have to leave, so I like this. Okay. Now you go back. Yeah, so definitely looks like you've got like all the ideas about the King's Indian in your head correctly. Like, you know the stuff that you're supposed to do, like put your knight on c5, like play a5, like strike back with e5. Like sometimes we do play knight h5 so we can play f5 and f4. It just looks like you're a little bit mixing them up, or maybe not sure what to do, which makes total sense. King's Indian is not like, it's not super easy when you start to put all those pieces together. So I think I think it's fine. You'll figure this out as you keep playing it. But yeah, I mean, you're still making the attack. I think here, like, I would have maybe considered f5, since you already have your knight there. Like, I want to start thinking about expanding here, getting your rook involved. But anyway, let's see what happened. Oh, he just gave you the pawn. Okay. Oh. Okay. I think you can just take this, unless there's a tactic that I'm not seeing. But it looks like a free pawn. So, this is kind of one of the central ideas of the King's Indian. Once you get this and they push by, you want to be looking at pressuring that e4 pawn, right? And you have it here. It's just a free pawn. If you take this, you're in real good shape. You're in real good shape. Now you're going to play f5, f4, and white's going to be in big trouble. So just pay attention to those pawns. Okay. All right. So you did see that. Very good. And you defended it. So nice. And now you played f5. All right. I like that. I like that. g5. Okay. It's a good idea. The problem is you didn't need to do it. Like, you're ready to go with f4 right now. Like, you don't need to play g5 first. You already have two defenders, and so you're good. You just play this, and white's toast. I mean, what are they going to do? Take here. Now your bishop's open. You've got this. I mean, this is really good for you. So you just needed to go for that right away. g5 is not a bad idea. The problem is it allows white to... No, they didn't do it, but it allows them to take here, and it looks like you're going to get some weaknesses along the white squares now. So, but okay, let's keep going. You did get f4 in. All right. Yeah, so this is not an easy position. This is a tricky position. I think you probably could take here first and then take here. But this way, yeah, I guess this works okay too. Oh, he took back that way. Yeah, see, I guess this is why the other way is a little better. You're forcing the king to get open this way. Whereas what happened, it's a little bit more closed off because this pawn is still here and defended, right? You weren't able to get rid of that pawn. All right, but that's good. You're still playing well. You're attacking it. I like that. This is a great move. Yeah, really nice move. You're getting your king somewhere safer, and you're opening this up for the rook to attack his king. Fantastic move. That's a really good move. Yep, great idea. Like a nice plan. Like that's a plan that a lot of 800-900 rated players are not going to think about. So I'm impressed that you did that. I mean, I like this too, because if white takes you, your queen's coming over, which is great news for you. And even if they don't take you, you're threatening to take and then bring your queen there, which is also good for you. You've got your knights set up nicely here. Maybe I would think about... I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yep, great. Did you bring... Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's really good. Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's a great game. The opening was, you know, a few things were wrong, but overall, fantastic game. And you did this kingside attack actually really well. The only thing was like here you could have played f4 right away, but overall this was fantastic. Really nice game. Okay. I feel like if I'm playing this game, I might play like queen d3 or queen c2 or bishop d3, only because I don't like giving up. Like I really like having these pawns like this because you've got total control. As soon as you push forward, now black has a little outpost. Now it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off because you gain space and you sort of get some potential things to do. So I don't know. I mean, you also open up the diagonal, so I guess it's probably fine, but I just like to leave it just a little while longer so I can get castled, get some more pieces out, and then look for ways. But I think this is okay too. Queen b3. I don't like queen b3. I don't like giving up this bishop, and you're giving black this move. Especially in this position, right? Because black might want to be castling kingside. It looks like a very logical move. And I want this bishop to create some threats over here. And also, black's a little jammed up. Like, I don't know what they're doing, especially with these pieces. And if you play queen b3, guess what? Knight a5 is happening. Bishop's coming out somewhere at some point. And I think black's position gets much better. Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah, so what should we play instead? I think bishop d2. Just develop and defend. And get ready to castle. That's what I would play. Yeah, see now. Ooh, knight c3, yeah. Knights are kind of all over you now. Bishop g5 was a good move. Yeah, this knight is super strong now because you have no pawns. And yeah, that knight is just really good. I don't like queen f1. Do you have to play that? Yeah, it's a rough position. The problem with queen f1 is you can't castle, and if you can't castle, this rook's never going to get into the game, and if that rook's never getting into the game, I can't see how anything good could happen. So I'm almost like would rather play some other move, you know, let this happen so that at least my rooks can like do stuff, right? Like, yeah, it's maybe not the greatest, but at least I can go here, I can do this, I can do this, right? Like I can use my pieces and get some counterplay. Going back to the game, it's like, ooh, this guy's just stuck in the corner. So it's rough. It's rough. Yeah. Remember that bishop that we lost earlier on knight a5? Now we're starting to see what's happening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, biggest thing. I mean, you had a great position. Just got to be careful. It all started to go downhill right here. Right here. This was a big move. So, number one, bishops are usually better than knights, especially if you can get an open position. And so, keep your bishops when you can, which means watch out for these knight forks. And don't forget to finish your development. You needed to castle, and you needed to develop this guy, which didn't really happen for like a lot of moves later, right? Never really got castled, and so yeah. But that's a tough game. I mean, that's kind of goes to show how like one small decision can make a big impact on the game. All right, cool. Here we go. Oh wow. All right, so you're playing this. All right, yeah. I mean, what can I say? I play that too sometimes. And they didn't want to. Wow. Yeah. So this is great. They're just giving you everything you want. I mean, this is awesome. Okay, really good. Really good. Yeah, this is good. Even though you lose some tempos here, you create a lot of weaknesses in White's position. So this is totally fine. Don't mind this at all. $94, okay. Not bad. Maybe personally, I think I want to just like develop this bishop, maybe like bishop d6, so that I have the option to castle right away. But usually I like to do that before I start going on the offensive too much. Also, White's kind of jammed up a little bit, and so I don't really want to like trade too much because you're going to free up their position a little bit. Yeah, now bishop d6. All right. e7. Okay, this is good. This is great because there's this hole here. Although, is it blundering the pawn? Yeah, maybe you're just blundering the pawn because you need that to support this. Yeah, I think I'm going to castle first. I'm going to get my rook involved. And then White's going to have a hard time moving that knight because you're going to have discoveries with your bishop somewhere. So I'm going to castle here. Let me actually turn on the engine on this one. I just want to see what it says. But I'm fairly certain castling was probably a good move. Yeah. Yep, Stockfish likes this too. And h5. Yeah, h5 is another idea. Just taking advantage of the weaknesses, right, that White created on the king side. So h5 is a way to get your rook involved. But yeah, this is the best move. So we blundered the pawn. Did they take it? They did take it. Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make because you think that they can't do that because you can follow it up with like a check or something, but you actually just can't because the queen is there, right? So that's unfortunate because that pawn was like awesome. Yeah, that pawn was awesome for you. Still, castle queenside, because at the end of the day, you want to get your king out of the center, and if you can do it and also make a threat at the same time, why not, right? Getting that rook lined up on the queen is kind of like a threat. Also, there's pawns over here that have already pushed forward. I would rather castle on the other side of the board than castle where there's like some pawns that could push up my king, right? So I think castling queenside, you know. Don't like assume that you always have to castle kingside. Like, yes, most of the time that's what happens. but be looking for opportunities to go the other way and get your rook involved right away. I actually personally like to castle queenside more than kingside because of the fact that I accomplished like 2 things at the same time. All right, I know I'm just repeating myself a lot. Okay, so yeah, this is, I don't know what white's doing, but like, this is not good because let me look at their bishop. So if you can keep the bishop back there, you're golden. So like, it looks like you're doing a good job of that. Knight c4, I guess is what you're gonna play. Yeah, great, fantastic. I mean, white's position looks really bad now. That looks pretty good. I like that. 3. All right, so as soon as I saw f3, I was like, wait a second, that's weird. Why does that move look weird to me? Because the dark squares, they're so much weaker now over here. So queen e5, and you've got some ideas, right? It's kind of like, you know, you have to retreat the queen. So you can choose, let's just say any of these 3 squares. Which one kind of gives you the most options? This one, you're not really, I mean, you're not going to take that pawn. You're not going anywhere on this diagonal, right? So you don't really need these diagonals. This one looks really good. You have a threat and you have an attack on this pawn. So it's like, which diagonals benefit your queen the best? This one's okay because you have this threat, but over here, not really doing anything. And so that's why I would choose queen e5 instead of queen e6. Okay. Yeah, see, king f2. If your queen was sitting right here, you would just take this pawn. But now it's like, I don't know what your queen's really doing. This is okay. Yeah, it's okay, but I'm gonna go to here because this is the half open file. If I'm gonna bring this rook somewhere, I'm going to a half open file. Now, if I had plans of pushing this pawn forward, that's one thing. But it doesn't look like I'm gonna be playing that anytime soon, right? Unless white changes their mind about their pawns. So I think here maybe is a little better. Okay, so that's not a bad idea. You're like trying to create some threats over here. I think that's a better square for your queen, actually. Wow. Wow. Ooh. Oof. Oof. Oh my. What just happened? Okay. Hold on. So we've got 1, 2, 3. And it's only defended twice. All right, so it's a free pawn. But it's only a free pawn if you take it with the knight. Because that's the low value piece, and that's the one that, you know, you can just take back and instant trade and you win the pawn. You take with the rook. Now you're sacrificing the exchange, basically, to get that pawn. Which, maybe you can get away with this, because white's king is in trouble. But, that's not really, I don't think that's a good decision. And it looked like you had an idea that you could pin it. But, I mean, you don't need to do that. You already can just take it, right? You don't need to pin it. You just take it back. So, yeah, I guess just a little miscalculation there. And then here, I mean, white can just take your queen. And you're down rook. I mean, 2 rooks, 1 rook. That rook is gone. You sacked earlier. So, maybe you work on your tactics a little bit. I'm not sure what the idea was. But yeah, you were doing great. You were building up the threats. And then all you needed to do is just take it. And you were fine. Although, I guess maybe you were worried about this pin now that I look at it. Were you worried about rook e1? Is that why you did that? Let's see. Yeah, tactically you're fine though. You can throw in this check, I think. And then where's the king gonna go? Looks like you're okay. Maybe f4. Yeah, and you actually are just winning the queen. You've got this. So it was fine. Tactically, I think just a little mistake there. And then white did that move, and then okay. You did win the queen anyway. That was a mess, but all right. We got here. 2 rooks against the queen. Yeah, this is... I mean, the good news is you have a bunch of pawns, so I think you can still win this. It's not easy. You gotta watch out for, obviously, back rank mate. You gotta watch out that white doesn't get some sort of fortress, like they just put their rooks together here and just kind of defend everything. It might be difficult for you to break through. You're gonna have to try to use the pawns to help you. So just a little thing, like when I'm playing a position like this, I don't like leaving my back rank like this, like where I can get mated. So I would play like G6 here. Just play it. Like just, I mean, I guess it's not a blitz game, but especially in speed chess, you have to like cover your back rank. You can't just leave that there. There you go. All right, cool. I feel much better already. That's fine. Yeah, this is a hard position to play for the queen. You have to get a pass pawn, which I think you're doing the right thing. You're trying to make a pass pawn. You can get a pass pawn and then sort of push it. That's how you're gonna potentially win. Okay, so you got some pawns. Is there a way? Almost looks like you should be able to win a rook, but I guess not. Like, I feel like right here, maybe you can push that. Start pushing. At some point, you have to push your pawns, right? You're not going to be able to win just with queen checks. So you got to kind of decide. There you go. And then just keep pushing that pawn. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. So that was pretty good. I think the end game was nice. That middle game, you know, we kind of already talked about it. Work on your tactics and stuff. But overall, nice game. Here we go. All right, Frosty's black. Okay. Queen d6. I don't know if you know these lines or not. This is, I would say this is one of the more tricky versions of the Scandinavian. I think it's maybe a little bit easier to go to a5. Because if you go to a5, your plan is like really simple. You play c6, knight f6, e6. Your queen can jump back here. Put your knight there, put your bishop there, castle. I mean, pretty straightforward. Queen d6, you got to be careful because your queen can be like harassed by, you know, pieces in more ways. So, you know, if you know this, that's fine. But just make sure you know what you're doing if you're going to go with queen d6. Why is it? Why did it change the color of the board? That's kind of weird. Anyway. So queen d6, knight c6. Okay, good. You're developing. I like that. e6. Personally, I think it's good to get your bishop out of the pawn chain first. Because otherwise it's like, what are you going to do with this bishop? Yeah, you can go to d7, but that's not an awesome square for it. I like f5. This is a nice diagonal. And then you could play e6 if you want. But also, if your opponent is going to let you get more space, I would say play e5. That's an even better option. Because then you're pushing this pawn. You're getting control of the d4 square. You don't have to worry about a bishop ever coming here and harassing your queen because your pawn is controlling it. And you don't block this bishop so it can come out whenever it needs to. So I really like e5. You know, sometimes you can't do that. Like if white already had a pawn here, you have to think more carefully. But in this case, I would say just play e5. Yeah, you can do this. It's just, it takes you like 2 moves to develop the bishop as opposed to 1 move. And so, you know, if you spend 2 moves to develop like all your pieces, it actually takes you longer than if you just get them out as fast as possible. So that's just something to think about. All right, so you're attacking on the king side. That's fine. Oh, wow. Okay. I like the idea. I don't know if it works because this bishop is here, but I like what you're thinking. You're setting up a checkmate. You've got your bishop lined up to get rid of the defender of the checkmate, and you're leaving this is a fishing pole trap. So Yeah, I mean, I like it. Now, you do have to be careful, like, let's see what happened in the game. Yeah, does it actually work? Yeah, see, that's the move I was afraid of. So yeah, one of the things, when you're setting up these sort of traps, these checkmate traps, you have to kind of make sure that your queen isn't going to get dislodged. Because if it does, your threat disappears, right? And you just don't have anything. So, and that's what's happening here with bishop f4. It's just gonna kick your queen away. Okay, e5. Knight comes in. Good move. Good move. Yeah, you're coming over here to set up. I like it. That's smart. Nice. You saw that. Very good. Yeah, I mean, you're playing well. You're playing very well. Wow. I think that's a really good move too. Going for the mate. Like it. Oh, and you won. Cool. Nice game, Frosty. Very nice game. Bastard Walrus is 1500. We're gonna go quickly. Oh, you're playing in 1900? How did you manage to play in 1900? Okay, I'm not really super familiar with this, so I don't know how much help I'm gonna be in the opening. Let me actually turn on the engine for this one too, because I don't know these lines very well. Like, when I see a position like this, my brain is just always like, can I sack the bishop and play knight g5 and e6 and something and just win the game? It looks like it doesn't work, but this is the stuff that I would definitely think through a little bit. Because it just looks really dangerous, right? It looks real dangerous. No, Stockfish says there's nothing there. What happens after this, though? Queen b6. And black just has too much counterplay with all these pieces. It's just not worth it. Okay. All right. I just was looking. So let's see. Bishop b3. Okay. d5. Castles. All right. So we have a relatively equal position. You save the bishop. I like that. Okay, rook c1. I like that. Queen g3. Okay. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good. You're sort of infiltrating Black Kent Castle. I mean, it's not that. It kind of looks like the French, actually. It kind of looks like we're playing the French. Yeah, we did forget about that pawn. So, I mean, honestly, you guys, like, let me just tell you, if this is my game and I'm trying to learn from this, I'm gonna just go through it quickly, like I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna just watch Stockfish. And whenever I get to a moment like what we just happened, like right here, I'm gonna make sure I understand what was so good for me. So, like Stockfish is saying here, +6. So if I can understand why Stockfish is saying +6, that's going to be really beneficial to me improving from 15 to 16, 17, 1800, right? You need to be able to tell me why. Like, if you look at this position, why is this so good? And like right now, I'm not sure that I know that. It looks like because we're breaking through and Black Kent Castle, I guess. And so, like, when I look at the top moves, Queen f4, Queen f3, Queen g4, I'm seeing like 2 moves here where the queen is just lined up on this right. So I think Queen f3 makes sense. And then here, right, another moment where it's like, I need to understand, and you did in the game. It looks like you got it played, the right move. Okay. Yeah, and the knight comes in and Black's toast. So I think you played this really well. I don't really see too many problems. Yeah, nice game. I mean, played well. I don't really see too much wrong with that. Okay. You played F6. Oh my. Wait, was this a serious question or what was this? Yes, this is right. Okay. I'm not gonna comment on the opening. We'll just get past the opening then. Alright, so after some shenanigans, we reach a relatively normal position. Wow, thank you, Val. Love your content. Thank you for posting. Love your chess puzzles. Even if they show me just how little I understand. Hope everyone here had a great day. Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. So we reach a relatively normal position. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, C6 looks like a good move. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Attack on the king side. Does that work? Queen takes, rook takes. You throw in the check. So this was a good move. And then you throw in this, and then you take. Okay, so white had that idea, but all right. So we end up with rook against knight and bishop. Interesting. Okay. I mean, technically this should be probably better for the knight and bishop. 3-6, 3-6-7. But black's king is better, and the extra pawn, it's probably pretty equal. Now black's better. There's just too many pawns. This is it's quite the pawn chain. Quite the pawn chain. Wow. 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 Yep. All right, cool. Nice game, I guess. Although I don't recommend playing the move F6. I don't recommend this at all to everyone else who's watching. Please don't do that. It's called the fried fox defense. Did make a video on it. It's one of the ad openings.